Philary Kafui is a young woman with purpose. And her purpose is to transform lives through the gospel and to empower many into discovering and fulfilling their God-given purpose and glorious destinies. Her profession: risk and insurance consultant, Glyco General Insurance. Education: business administration at the University of Ghana. Masters in oil and gas management from the country University, UK. And her initiatives: purpose discovery, coaching and mentoring. CEO Judfield Consulting Services. Host of the Conversation with Philary Kafui. Founder, Purpose Hub. Chief Servant, JMG Outreach Network. And her project is the Philary Kafui World. If you need her website, you can find her on www.philarykafuiworld.com, www.judfieldconsult.com. Her social media handles: Philary Kafui on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and JTV. With a round of applause, let's welcome our host.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's a great honor to see you all here. Before we continue, I would like us to all rise up to our feet. And then you say to yourself, I shall find my voice. I shall find my voice. I shall express my voice. I shall fulfill a great purpose, and I shall fulfill a glorious destiny. I shall find my voice. I shall express my voice. I shall fulfill a great purpose. I shall fulfill a great destiny. Thank you very much. You can have your seat. According to Richard Truss, he says the human voice is the most beautiful thing. However, it is also the most difficult thing to express. When we get out there, we see so many people trying to express their voice in one way or the other. It's just because our human nature is we want to be heard. But then our focus here today is not just to express our how, but to express a voice that will transcend generations. To express a voice to impact lives positively. To express a voice that will make us fulfill the destiny, a very glorious destiny our Maker ordained to us. So that is the focus here today. So without wasting much time, we'll call on our guest speaker. As we have already introduced them, we'll still call them. Okay, so with a round of applause, shall we welcome her on stage? Oh, you can do better. You can do better. You can do better. You can do better. Okay. We also have Mrs. Priscilla Holdbrook. With a round of applause, shall we welcome her? Oh, please, you can do better. You can do better. You can do better. We also have Benjamin Kwanzaa. We also have Dr. E.K. Afum. Oh, please, you can. We also have the youngest on the panel, Dr. Fanuel. Thank you very much. It's a great honor to have you all on board. Or mention some names of great people. I go to church, I hear mention the names of some great people. I read books as well. So one time I wasn't feeling well though, but I sat up on my bed one night and then I said to myself, if I could read books with names of people with the great accomplishments they've done on this earth, great people who have left strong legacies. Of my leaders, I had one leader. He was so much passionate about people to live purpose-driven life and all that. So when he's talking, he'll read quotes. Okay, he'll mention names of people and what they said. I was like, wow, that's amazing. Could I become one of them someday or one day? But I prayed to God that I may not know how, I may not know when, but I pray He helps me to find a voice to also leave great legacies. But you know what? Along the way, I didn't know how to go about it. At a point, I even lost focus. I was on and off. I just didn't know how to start it, how to find a voice. Until one day, that's even after university, I sat down in my room and then I had deep reflections. And then I remembered what I taught when I was a little girl. And then I realized how time was far spent and I hadn't done anything. So that night, I think it went through even till midnight dawn. I was like, no, I have to start something. So there and then, I started hunting. It was like hunting. I will try asking people, or if I see anyone taking an initiative, I try to get closer to them just to find what they're actually doing. How are they finding their voice and all that? And amidst that, I met very great people, very beautiful people, and their advice, one or two, which I took note of, and then I'm still working towards it. It is my prayer that one day God will grant my desires. And amazingly, I've met very good people. God has brought people into my life to impact me in one way or the other, and we have them seated here as well. So today, our focus here, as I said earlier, is to find a voice that will transcend generations. It's to find a voice to leave very great legacies, and it's to find a voice that will fulfill destiny. So we are going to look at how to find a voice. We'll also look at why should I find my voice. We'll also look at what ways we can express our voice, and then we'll also consider who could support us. What are the associations? Who can help us find a voice? So with our papers and our pens, I hope we all have, we'll write down these questions, because I would want you to follow the discussion as sorry about that. I would want us to follow the discussion. So our first area is to look at how can I find my voice? How can I find my voice? How can I find my voice? Are we okay? How can I find my voice? The next is why. Why should I find my voice? 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 Our third area is what ways can I express my voice? 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 And then we have who could support me in finding and expressing my voice. Who could support me? Who could support? Who could help in finding my voice? Okay, so that is our agenda for today, and our speakers are going to help us address the various areas. It's a great honor to have you all on board. I'm so much grateful. God richly bless you. So before we delve deeper, I think the first question I'd want us to look at is, what does finding your voice mean? And what is your take on our theme for today? Finding a unique voice for generational impact and destiny fulfillment. Finding a voice. What is your take on our subject today? And what does it mean to find a voice? So, Madam Ikwa, please, would love to start with you.
Thank you very much, Philary. And I must say that I'm so excited to see young people here eager to find their voice. In fact, when she sent me the flyer, I posted it on my profile, and I had several questions coming through. And this is because it looks absurd when you say finding your voice. It seems like everybody literally has a voice. And so 2 questions came up. Is it the literal meaning of your voice, like I'm speaking, or the figurative meaning of what the voice is? If it is just about the literal meaning, then as a presenter, she has a fine voice, right? If it was a musician, and then you sing beautifully like Celine Dion. And if you were a pastor, you shout, or your voice is such that you can reach out to your congregation. As a professional teacher, I need my voice to reach out to you. In fact, we can go on and on and on and on. But when it comes to the figurative meaning of finding your voice, then it goes deeper than just what I am saying. We are looking at how unique I am and how unique you are. As you sit, some are fat, some are lean, some are tall. But if we allowed everybody here to speak at the same time, it will be noise. Is that right? It will be noise. So finding your voice, for me, looks like presenting yourself in a unique way amidst several voices, such that you can be identified. And this is because every individual here has certain particular unique characteristics that makes you stand out. If you want to find your voice as an intro, for me, I would ask myself questions, and that is exactly what I want you to do. The questions you ask yourself is, what am I passionate about? Why did you come here today? I mean, the invite was given to the whole world, but only a few of us are here. What is pushing you to come here is that search of something different from what the noise makers are doing. And so I think that at this point, as we go around, it is time for you not to just think that you are invited here, but give yourself an inner sense of why you came here. You would meet, and the profile is telling you different things that all of us are doing. And for me, if you have a protege who is smarter than you, it means you have to up your game. I have known this lady few years, and I'm amazed at what she does. And in finding her voice, I have seen her every day asking questions. Everything she comes across, she wants to find the reason behind why the things are happening. She's so curious to the extent that I wasn't surprised at all when she chose this path to share her voice. And for me, finding your voice is reaching out to people with what you have. I'll take this as the first note, and then believing that within these 2 hours, we will go deeper into the topic. Thank you.
Very much. Oh, please. We can do better. Reaching out to people. Madam Priscilla, would want to hear your take on this subject, and what does finding your voice mean?
I would first of all like to thank you for the opportunity to be here. The reason that we are here today is one of the things that I'm most passionate about, and it's really a joy being here to share my thoughts and help others find their voice. You know, I really love the fact that you started by asking us to define what it means to find your voice, because as I was thinking about the theme, as I was thinking about what this summit is all about, I realized that the world is a noisy place already. Everybody wants to speak. And we are in an era where we talk about rights, all right? So the freedom of speech, people voicing their opinions and all of that. So in that context, what would finding your voice mean? For me, finding your voice is finding your purpose. It is finding your unique place in this world, because there is nobody like you, and you are the actor of your own life, and nobody's going to play the role that you are to play. So finding your voice is taking responsibility for the fact that there is nobody like you and that you have a unique role to play. That is what finding your voice means to me. So that is just by way of introduction. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Says finding your voice means finding your purpose. Mr. Benjamin Kwanzaa, please, can we hear your take on this subject?
Yeah, thank you very much. Can you hear me? Yeah, thank you very much. And I'm equally excited to be. Hello. I'm equally excited. Even if the mic doesn't work, I'm a lecturer. I can stand before you and fire. Right? So I'm equally excited to be here with you. Your presence adds value to me, and I equally want to add value to you. And when we talk about finding your voice, I like to use my personal story to demonstrate to you how I found my voice. My story is never complete without making reference to the Bible. So let me start with a very short story, then I'll bring myself into the picture, how I found my voice and what that means to you and to everyone. A new prime minister had come in the kingdom of Persia in the name of Haman, and he wanted everybody to bow down to him. But there was this man by name Mordecai who said, "No, I wouldn't bow to you." So Haman proceeded to destroy not only Mordecai but all the Jews in the kingdom. Mordecai was very worried. Fortunately, there was a woman in the kingdom. She was a queen. And fortunately, you are here. You are in the kingdom. Mordecai reached out to Queen Esther and told her through a messenger what was going to happen to the Jews, the evil plan that Haman had hatched against them. Esther began to give all the excuses why she wouldn't be able to go to the king and speak to him. Mordecai said, "You know what? Don't think that if there's any danger or distraction, you would be spared. If you decide to hold your peace, in other words, if you decide to hold back your voice, you don't express your voice, God is going to raise or provide deliverance and enlargement to the Jews from another source. But know that you and your father's family will be destroyed. In any case, who knows whether you are in the kingdom for such a time as this?" My story, very short one. I had trained as a finance professional, spent all my life doing accounting and finance. I had excelled in that field. Somewhere along the line, I got very sick. What started as a slight headache was something that was going to take me to my grave. So at the hospital, when they had done their diagnosis and everything, and I had known what was happening, I started thinking, what if I died? Because I was more like a walking dead. If I died, what was I going to tell God? Had I made any impact in the lives of people? I spent all my time and life doing accounting. What was missing was impact in the lives of people. I hadn't done much. Right at the hospital, tears were coming out of my eyes. I was asking myself, so what if I left? I have 2 kids. What was the legacy that I was going to leave behind? My answer was a zero answer. Then it dawned on me that the accounting and finance I was doing was just to provide me with bread and butter. I hadn't made any impact in the lives of people. It's time for me to rise up and begin to touch lives. And that was what jolted me into action. I found my voice, and I'm doing amazing stuff, and I'm still not even happy within me. Anything about youth charges me, gives me that sense of passion. I want to always add value to the youth. So for me, finding my voice is making an impact in the lives of people, making a difference with people who want to make a difference, doing something that makes a difference in a time that makes a difference. Who knows whether you are in the kingdom for such a time as this? Thank you.
Wow. Such a touching story. Making a difference. Living to impact lives. Dr. Ernest, please, can you share with us your take on this subject? And what does finding your voice mean to you?
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here to share with you. Can you hear me? Okay. Don't worry, it's still part of the ways of finding your voice. You didn't realize that it's part of the drama of finding your voice. Yes, but looking at the question, it's important for me to recognize that finding my voice is to implore and explore any ways possible and acceptable in order to make sure that my life counts. Because I'm also a publisher of quotes, there is a quote that we put out today that seeks to say that as tomorrow never comes, so opportunities are in today. And what am I supposed to do? Seize the moment. So in finding my voice, I need to seize any and every moment of my life in order to let my life be meaningful to myself, meaningful to the people around me, meaningful to my community, meaningful to the world around me and to the world. And I should also add that in finding my voice, it might not be a straight jacket. It might be in disguised ways. It might not follow a protocol or a formula. However, if I have a learning and teachable spirit, then I will be able to identify, to find that voice which is very unique to me. And that is how I'm going to make impact on the world around me. Thank you.
Oh, please, we can do it better. Once you have a learning heart or a learning attitude, you can find a better voice. Dr. Fano, the youngest on the panel, but I have seen him express himself on various platforms. So, Fano, to you, what does finding your voice means? What is your take on this subject?
Once again, good morning to everyone, and it's a pleasure being among great men and women, also sharing my thoughts on what I think about the subject. But I also think I'm at an opportune place, because after the big men and women have spoken, I'll just summarize everything and we move on. So on the topic, finding your voice, I would just want to end with two scriptures from the Bible, okay? So the first one being from the book of Peter, 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 10 to 11. And it says, God has given each of you a gift from his great variety of spiritual gifts. Use them well to serve one another. Do you have the gift of speaking? Then speak as though God has himself were speaking through you. Do you have the gift of helping others? Do it with all the strength and energy that God supplies. Then everything you do will bring glory to God through Jesus Christ. All glory and power to him forever and ever. Also in the book of Timothy, 1 Timothy chapter 4 verse 11 to 12, it says, and these things I command you teach. It says, let no man despise thy youth, but be example unto others in your words, in conversation, and in faith and in all that you do. All I want to say is that finding your voice is about finding that uniqueness in everyone. We have that unique character. Like they said earlier, everyone can speak. Everyone can say something. But there is that unique character about you. There is that unique message you have within you that the world have to see that would make you stand out. So it is all about standing out when we talk about finding your voice. Thank you.
Very much. Thank you very much. Please, still on our first question, how can I find my voice? We want to consider some areas where we could express our voice. The first area I would want us to look at is in the corporate world. Most of us are graduates from school and we find ourselves in the working environment. How do we express our voice? So, Madam Ekwa, I've known you for at least 4 years now, and you've always been a point of reference. In the company, people always call you on this to share your knowledge. How did you come about this? How did you develop that? Did it just happen? Or it was by learning, by training? How did you come about it? How is your journey like? Would love to hear that.
Thank you. Just as we have said, I'm sorry. This is one negative bit of finding your voice. Yes, we say that as individuals, so are organizations. I belong to Glyco General Insurance, and believe you me, however small or big an organization is, finding your voice for an organization is like the brand of the organization. What makes that organization stand out different from all the others? With the insurance industry, I beg to differ, but truly, almost all the 30 insurance companies in Ghana may be doing about the same thing. What you're familiar with is motor insurance. Enterprise writes motor, Glyco writes motor, Star writes motor. And so, for the corporate world, finding their voice is what distincts them from the other industry players. Therefore, if Glyco must stand out, it is everything about the brand. Everything that makes buyers believe in Glyco and would want to buy from Glyco and not any other competitor. If we are offering the same thing, if our voices were the same, what other thing will I add on to make it appealing for you to come? Let me still use my company. It could be that I pay claims faster. It could be that the staff are more friendlier. I am here as a corporate person and also a business owner. I operate Techland pork grills, the normal domidos. The Ghanaians know pork meat as domido. It's nothing new. You have been eating pork by the roadside, aren't you? Every day you find somebody arrange something in a shelf, and then pork, mommy 10 cedis, 15 cedis. or you see the chichinga seller. But once I went to an event, and then the boys wanted to take rowdy, I said, young man, I am not a chichinga seller, even though you find me by the grill. Finding my voice in that corporate setting is setting up my domido or my chichinga in a way that is different from how everybody is doing. And so, excuse me to say, I have found people find me at events, and when they get to know me, hey, madam, you employ, na chichinga na turn it to say, you know, a corporate chichinga. And indeed, what you buy from that Zongo boy 3 cedis, you may buy from me 8 cedis. I don't sell my chichinga 3 cedis. The least you can buy is 30. Packaging from 120. And so I have decided to make my chichinga different from the usual way of presenting chichinga. And I've given it a brand name, Techland Pork Grills. In fact, sometimes some people look at it and they say, and when I'm selling it, I said, this is jack pork. And so I didn't actually need jack pork. I make them understand that, oh, this is a menu I have learned from Jamaica. Okay? This is pork you will never come across fat. Because normally people think that pork is fatty, you know. And so to stand out of the lots who are grilling is to brand my pork Jack. Call my pork Techland Pork Grills. And so this is a pinky beautiful pork. Everybody's doing domido, but Techland Grills is a special one. So I would say that within the corporate, everybody is doing the same thing. What can I do better to distinct me from what all others are doing? And that is what I am trying to do.
Thank you very much. And I also would like to ask you a question. I found you in a way, although as in the corporate sector, you've mentored some of us. You've really been of great help. Sometimes when I'm in the office and I see the other branch here and they're calling on, I'm like, hey, me, when did I even come to the company? But it was all because from you. I learned a lot from you. How do you find it in the corporate sector? Beyond your normal work, you come sit behind the machine and all that. How could you also find your voice? How could you also impact people in the organization?
Thank you. I feel proud that you are saying this. And it's not only you. I'm also very young in the industry. I moved from SIC and to join Glyco. And within a short while, I have seen people relying on me. I mean, people of senior positions calling on me. I love to learn. When you want to find your voice, it is also important to draw closer to that passion that you have. And so, if this is your drive, I call it the tribe's mate. It's like you being a Dagomba. You flow well with the Dagombas, okay? And so even if you travel from the north, and you can see it in the Kayayes, you go to Agbogloshi, and you find that they have the Dagomba group, they have the Sisales, they have the Mushis. And so that is what I love. It draws me towards where I can get a lot of information. I am somebody who loves to learn. And so I associate with people who know what I want. One typical example is Miss Lydia Bauer. She's my great mentor in the insurance industry. She's a very strong woman. She saw me very little and then picked me up. There is no way when Miss Bauer is coming here, you see that I removed my shoe. It doesn't happen. And she teaches you to the extent that even she teaches you phone manners. And so when there are issues of brand management, there are times management will send me because they think that I have the capability to soothe things and I have learned this from my mentor. And so I draw towards people who share my passion. Training is very important for you when you identify what you are passionate about. You can't sit in that one corner and think that you will excel. You are virtually doing what somebody has done in a unique way. And so it becomes important always to draw towards those who have excelled. And through that, you learn more and improve upon yourself. That is how I have done. And I have done this through young ones and then big ones and everybody from whom I can learn from.
Thank you very much. Please, I hope you are drawing some lessons. Okay. So we'll move to another area as women. We hear of women empowerment and all that. Madam Priscilla, I can say you have a strong voice when it comes to women empowerment. How have your journey been like? Share with us.
Kafui, I don't know if you would allow me to just add something little to the career path. Okay. So when she asks how you can stand out in a professional environment, a career environment, what came to mind is, you know, when you go to a job interview, they would ask, why should I hire you? Why should I pick you to join our team? What they are asking is, what makes you stand out? Why are you unique? What value are you going to add to our organization? And so, quickly, just to add on to what she said a lot of powerful things which I so much can relate to. Just tell yourself that you want to stand out wherever you go. And tie it to your personality, all right? Your talent, your gift. And ensure that you become so good at what you do that in your organization, you stand out. That is how to stand out. It's just by sharpening your skills, working on what you know you are good at, so that you become the go-to person like she is in her organization. When there is any need for anything, they go to her because she is standing out. All right, so I just wanted to add that bit to it. And she also added that she spoke about value. When you're able to stand out, you become more valuable. You can go to a place and mention a quote, like the suya, you know, I'm just trying to relate it to the corporate world. Something that is sold at 10 cities, no, maybe 6 cities, I don't know, 5 cities. She can sell it 20 cities and people will buy. Why? How she's made it stand out. So if you want to stand out in the corporate world, and I can actually attest to that, you have to ensure that you sharpen your skills and always ensure that you do things so well that when you say this is the amount I'm taking, people are ready to give it to you because they know that you are that valuable. Okay, so now let me go to the women empowerment bit. I think that we live in a society where people keep talking about women empowerment. I don't really see it as such. I see it as people empowerment, because it's not just women who don't have a voice or who are not using their voice. Which is one of the reasons that I like this program, because I focus more on women, but I love the fact that we also have men around us here. But you see, women are, I don't know, I think that it's a social construct. Women usually see themselves to be inferior, and so they don't want to speak out. I did not grow up in an environment where I was told to keep quiet because I was a woman. I didn't know anything like that. I was just growing up as a normal human being. So, from a very early stage, I've had to take initiatives. From a very early stage, I've had to say, this is what I want. I remember when I graduated from secondary school to go to the university, and because I had very good grades, you know, when you have very good grades, people have opinions. You should read law. Oh, you should study this. Like, people give you those things that they consider to be good for people who have good grades. So I had a lot of people coming to my dad, like, she should go, oh, this lady, she should study law. She's very brilliant. She should study law. This one, she should. And I told my dad, I want to study languages. So there was some sort of pressure on him to make me study law or do one of those things that others were asking me to do. But my dad just told me, if you feel led to do languages, go do languages. So for me, it's really about teaching women that what God has placed in you should not be suppressed because of people's opinions. When women understand that, they begin to fly. I really don't like to say women, men. I feel like when people understand that, they begin to fly. They begin to take steps as they are supposed to take. That has been my journey, and that is what I'm teaching other women. Whenever I speak with women, I tell them, what is that thing that you feel that God has called you to do? Forget about what people are saying. I'm not saying you shouldn't listen to people, but first of all, what is that thing that God has called you to do? And you should develop yourself so much, to the extent that you are able to stand on what you are called to do and speak out when it is necessary. That has been my journey. That is what I'm teaching other women to do as well.
Very much. Oh, please. Thank you. Mr. Benjamin Kwanzaa, as a corporate trainer, you do individual trainings as well, and you love youth. How have your journey been like? What are the challenges you faced, and how did you overcome them?
All right, thank you. So I'd like to pick it up from where the boat ended. The issue of standing out, being unique, distinct from the others. Personally, before I decide to work with and for any organization, I look at my personal values and then the corporate values of the organization that I want to work with. Are they in alignment? Once I'm able to answer yes, I go in with my heart, my body, my soul. I go all out, and whatever job description that is given to me on paper, I go a step further by adding an additional job description, helping people. So there's never a time that I would say that this is not my responsibility. That is not my responsibility. When I'm done with my task, I want to approach you and then ask you, is there any way I can help you? Even if it's a technical area that I cannot help, there's something I can do if it means typing something for you. So helping others has always been my hallmark. And then, in terms of standing out, I always choose to make myself the go-to person within any organization that I find myself in. And if you would permit me, I'd like to share a quick story which will lead to the corporate training thing that you're talking about. So I got employed with an international company as a grants specialist. Now, I had done grants management. And when we talk about grants management, the donors, the UK government or the US government may decide to give the government of Ghana or NGOs money to implement a project within the country. That's what grant management is all about, how the NGOs can use the money for the purpose intended, how they're going to report to the funding agencies. So I found myself in that environment. I got this job with that international organization. But then I had done grants management for quite some years before joining. Now, I had interacted with quite a number of finance professionals who were also doing grants management. So when I got in there, I asked myself, all these finance guys that I've interacted with, they have either ACCA, CIMA, and other accounting qualifications. I also do have the same. is there any professional certification in grants management that will make me a grants professional? Just like having your ACC and saying I'm a finance professional. So I started searching and I found one, which is the Certified Grants Management Specialist, a US-based course. So I enrolled. It was time to write exams, and they said, look, we don't have a center in Ghana. It means you can't write the exam in Ghana. You have to come to the US. That was shocking for me. So I had to save money and then travel all the way to go and write the exam. Why did I do that? I wanted to set myself apart. Because all the finance guys that I knew, I'm in the accounting field, they had their ACCA, CIMA, and all that. I wanted to set myself apart. So I went. Unfortunately, I failed, but I didn't give up. I went second time, I failed. Went third time, I failed. Third time, I passed. And guess what? I was the first person outside of the USA to gain the certification. The first outside of the US and the only one in Africa. And as I speak with you, just last year or so, 2 people came on board, one in Uganda, another person in South Africa. So as I speak with you, there's only 3 of us in Africa who have the certification. That changed the ball game. So everyone within the organization, even the donor agency, the UK Department for International Development, was always coming to me for advice. I became the go-to person. I decided to distinguish myself from the rest. So, as a coach, a corporate trainer, and a speaker, I always emphasize be different. Everybody is doing it. What will make you stand out? Your values. Very, very critical. Your values are the soul of your leadership. And that's what drives your behavior. If you have weak values, forget it. There's no way you can stand out. You cannot give something that you don't have. So if you're going to be able to give to others, take note of the word behave. Write it down. Behave. Split into 2. Be and have. You must be in order to have the ability to give. And I stress this throughout my training. And sometimes the difficulties have been the fact that people are not responsive. And they are not responsive not because they are not able to do it, but because they lack awareness. They don't know themselves. So I pose the question. For you to get the awareness, ask yourself 5 questions. And those 5 questions, I'm sure, will come up as we progress. But one of those questions will be, who am I? What is my identity? That is the starting point to making any difference in your life. Thank you.
Very, very much. Dr. Ike, as a lecturer, you went ahead for your doctorate degree. Would you say education finds a role in helping people find their voice, discover their purpose, and also as a leader in the church? What are the mistakes you see young people make that will prevent them from finding their voice? And how have your journey also been like?
Okay, so thank you very much on these 2 aspects or areas. In terms of teaching and learning, let me start it this way. I didn't set out to be a teacher or to be a lecturer. In fact, my wife had advised many times that I should apply to teach those times, to teach in the secondary school, because she realized that I could teach. But I told her, no, I don't see myself in that field. So I was in the corporate world, flipping from one organization to the other. I've worked in several industries. Yeah, hospital, bank, real estate, food distribution, everywhere. I'm there. Yes, because I thought, that is the area for me, business area. That is the area for me. And then I had opportunity to go and study for my MBA. And during that time, by the way, I studied accounting at the University of Ghana Business School. Before I finished, I lost interest in accounting. Yes, before we graduated, I lost interest in accounting. And I started developing strong passion for communication. So during my national service days, I carried a whole bag load of books from Accra to Sunyani during my national service days. And I spent most of my evenings reading a lot on communication theory, and all that. And so now I wanted to go and do my master's in communication. I actually applied to a school in Malaysia. I got admission to study corporate communication because that was the passion. As for the accounting, it's like, okay, I'm done. I don't want to follow it up. Well, I didn't get the money to go to Malaysia, so I was working until I got a scholarship to go for my MBA, and I went. And at the summer, the first year, at the end of the first year, this institute, China Universities Summer School Association, they run vacation school for Chinese students who study in the US, UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. So normally when they come on vacation, they run the program for them, and the credits are sent to their universities. So a friend of mine who is now a lecturer at University of Ghana Business School, he had been contacted by a friend because there was a slot for somebody to teach accounting. Remember what I said about accounting? I lost passion for accounting. So I didn't even know where my accounting books were. And I didn't go to China with any accounting book. But yeah, but my friend, at that time, he had graduated from his master's and he was returning to Ghana. So he quickly called me Sunday after church evening around 8 p.m. that this is the opportunity and they need a teacher to start Monday morning. Can I do it? I said yes, I will take up the challenge. That night I couldn't sleep because I didn't have any accounting book around me. Yes, my university is a business university, so I started going around to the rooms of those who were studying accounting, and I went and gathered all kinds of accounting books that I couldn't even open. So I just had to prepare something, and I went for the first class. I tell you, I entered the first class. Here is a black man in Chinese students class, and the class was full. And you know that I'm also very tall. You can see I'm very tall. So this tall African dark man enters the class, and sometimes, Chinese class, the way they will look at you. So one, I have left accounting for many years, and two, I have not prepared enough, and three, I am from Africa. So I entered the class, and already I'm confused. I'm done with grade 1. But yeah, I managed because that was a first class, so introductory class. I just gathered a vim. Everybody introduce yourself. By the time everybody introduced themselves, class is over. So that is actually my first teaching, my first formal teaching. That's it. That was my first formal teaching. So now it gave me room to go and prepare for the following day. And I came the following day, and I had really quite a good time because now I had to learn all the accounting things I had left for several years. That was like after 7 years from graduation, I have left all the books. Now I had to learn. So I'll be learning and going to teach every day. And I had a student in the class. That guy was superb. The guy was so brilliant. Could you imagine? I'll be on the board, I'll make a mistake, and the guy will see it. I'm telling you, it was serious. But yeah, I learned through the process. And so that semester went, and by the end of the semester, it's like all the things that I had learned, everything was coming back. And I was able to manage the class. So that was the first session in June. In July, they said, okay, I can continue with the class. So I enrolled again for the July session, and I continued. And that is how, till now, I'm still in Ghana. I still teach with that university. I still teach with them. We have summer program, we have winter program, and I teach on both. So December, I'll be teaching. When you are enjoying Christmas, chicken and goat, I will be teaching online. So that gave me an experience. And then my wife came to China, and I was a student, PhD student. My wife came. I needed to find a job for her to keep her busy. And I told a friend from Tanzania who said, okay, I will look around. Then she called me, okay, there is an opportunity. A university just close to ours. They need a teacher for oral communication, for that kind of thing. So my wife had actually gotten 1 month teaching contract, and she had gone to teach. So she goes every day and comes. So I decided to go there with my CV and my little daughter, because we were staying at home. Now I went to the university, and I said, okay, I'm actually here on behalf of my wife. What did that? But I went with my CV and said, I'm here on behalf of my wife. Then the dean, the vice dean at the time, she took my CV, and when she went through, she said, no, we don't need your wife. We need you because you have teaching experience in China, so we rather need you. And this was a new institute, which was Birmingham City University in UK and the Chinese Wuhan, Texas University. Is a collaboration. So they had opened that institute, and they needed teachers. So they gave me the appointment. For 2 years, I taught with that school. So that added to my teaching experience. And then, as we kept going, now from the office, I am normally reserved. I just come, do my work, and go. But some of the teachers, they realized that, no, this guy is very professional. They needed to give me some package. They didn't give. So at a point, they didn't sign the contract before school reopened. And I was in the office. The timetable was drawn. My name was there. Then our dean calls me and say, okay, Ernest, the vice dean, Ernest, the dean didn't sign your contract. I said, okay, no problem. Whatever you decide, whether you continue or you don't continue, is fine. Then later on, he came back and said, okay, the dean has signed a contract, but you can only start in October because we will pay you from October. So September, you can go and stay home. I said, no, don't worry. I'm going to teach for September for free. There's no problem. My name is on the timetable, and I don't want the timetable to be disrupted. So he looks at me and said, you are a good man. And he left. That also opened another opportunity to teach. Because the Wuhan Texas University is a big university. They have 3 campuses. So this dean, apparently that experience he had, in quote, they were cheating me. And I still said, it's okay, I'll still teach. So he now started feeling that, no, I need to do something for this man. So he called me to his office and said, some of my colleagues on the other campus, they might need your service if you'll be available. I said, no problem, I'll be available. And you know, according to the contract, you are not supposed to teach in any other place. But here is a dean himself linking me up, and he says, don't tell anybody about this. You know. I said, don't worry. So he took my number. We even took a picture so that he sent to his friends. And then he said, okay, they will call me. By 2 p.m., I got another part-time with the mother university to go and handle the graduate students and also undergraduate students, oral communication and that kind of thing. So all this added to my my teaching experience. Then I came back to Ghana. I went to the University of Ghana Business School. One of my lecturers is still there. And then after talking, he called me January this year and said, they need a part-time lecturer. I said, okay, I'm available. So I enrolled. Then, not too long, my friend who is still there, he also calls me, okay, Gimpa has called me. They need somebody to teach a course. And by the way, that course is not my area, project management. I didn't study project management. But they just need somebody for principles of project management. That is fundamental. And as a management person, I should be able to do that. So my friend told me, I said, no problem, I can handle that. So Gimpa also called, and they also signed me on contract. So I picked it up. So I was teaching with Gimpa, teaching with University of Ghana Business School, and also teaching with the Chinese school. And now I have a full-time appointment with one of the universities just yesterday. So in finding my voice, I will say that you need to sometimes stop giving excuses. And I said at the beginning, the road will not be smooth all the time. It will not always be on plan and on schedule. No, sometimes it's disruptive. You have to go through a certain disruption curve. And when you accept the challenge, then you will discover many better ways to find your voice. I am here, that Wuhan Texas University. When school was reopening, they contacted me. They need teachers to fill in the vacancy that I left. So I had to recommend people to them, even though I'm in Ghana. This black man, these Chinese people, really, when you are there, they don't really respect us. But then they will always come back to me. So that is the voice I have found with them. And this summer school, also, my coordinator, he's a Brazilian. Every time, if there is an issue to discuss, he will call me and say, Ernest, I want to find your thoughts on this. He called me last week and said, there is a new professor from Yale University who is coming to join the school, and they need somebody to give him guidelines on how the program runs. And he wants me to talk to that professor from Yale. So when you accept a challenge and you learn, and sometimes you have to even sacrifice. They will not pay you what is due you, but you sacrifice. All these things will help to what? To add value to you, and you will find your voice. In terms of the church thing, it's also a very long journey. It's a very long journey for me. Having worked as a youth myself, as a youth leader, everything that youths have been doing in church, I have done. I play the keyboard, I usher, I teach, I preach, I sweep the room. I have carried the benches in church. I have pushed truck to carry benches to crusade. Everything in church I have done. And now I have a voice in the church. When I get up to speak in church, the pastor will say, oh yeah, doctor, I understand what you are saying. Okay, what you are saying is, you understand what I'm saying. So you need to put yourself in something. You can't stay in your room and expect that you will have a voice with a certain group. Of course, you can stay in your room, you will get a voice, but not with every group. So if you want to have a voice with a particular group, you need to be part. And for me, I am fully part of the church, even though now I am not a full-time church worker. I do everything that church workers are doing. I do everything, but I'm still not a full-time church worker, But I have a voice, even that. It didn't start today. As a youth, I could speak to all the pastors. They will listen to me. I will bring ideas on things we need to do. They will listen to me. My church is just here, New Road. That is where I grew up. I grew up in this area. It's my area. The pastors, all of them. I was in JSS. That's my mate. Odame is here. He's my mate from JSS. And he knows at the school I was preaching right from JSS. I was doing morning devotion every time. My teachers forgot my name, and they will always call me pastor in the school. They forgot my name. I had a voice because of the gospel work. All these things will help you to get a larger voice and a bigger voice. Thank you.
Thank you. About time, quickly, for now, I'd want you to touch, just a touch on entrepreneurship and also on campus as students. Some people go on campus and we shy away from certain roles like SRC and all that, actively participating in those secular activities and all that. But I found you doing a lot of that, taking a lot of positions on campus. How is it like, and what would you say to students on campus?
Okay, so it all started back in the senior high school. I happened to find myself, due to one or two reasons, in a private school where I'll use the word DB. We had a lot of rich kids around, and I'm coming from one of those homes, not a very poor home, but one of those. And it used to be very intimidating, where your friends feel because they are coming from a well-to-do home, they could just do anything, say anything, and everyone is hailing them here and there. So one day I asked myself in Form 1, when my class teacher wanted to pick a class prefect, and I asked myself, what's the difference between me and all those seated in the class? Why can they be class prefects and I cannot be class prefects? So, normally they ask the class to nominate one person or two, and then they vote. Then people stand up and they mention other people's name. When I stood up, I mentioned my own name. And then my teacher was like, I thought you were about to nominate someone. I said, no, I nominate myself. And it became something different in the class. It became a different conversation. He even forgot what we're doing, because it was amazing that kind of boldness is in someone. I was so little. It's now that I'm gaining flesh. I was one of the... She knows, she's been my mate since junior high, so she knew how I was. Very little, but quite bold among them. So he said, you know what, since he has nominated himself, he's the class prefect. Whoever is coming is the assistant. And that was all. So that was where it all began, through Form 1 to Form 3, where I also had other opportunities. Now, between then, I realized there were a lot of opportunities on campus, especially in the field of being, in the part of being a leader. And people used to shun away from it. But I realized that the few who went there became like the stars in the school. Everyone was mentioning ABC. And comparing to what I hear outside and the people I was looking out to, I kept asking myself, how did ABC get here? And why are they so popular? Why are they so known? Why is it that everyone wants to read something about them? Why is it that whenever there's a conversation, people want to say Bill Gates is the richest, this man is doing this, Elon Musk is that? So I realized that it was the little things that others were not doing that they were doing. What everyone was shunning away from, that is what they wanted to do. So being it in SU, what people don't want is what I want. And it made me look weird. Mostly in conversation, I was always on the other side of the conversation. When everyone is taking this side, I felt like, no, this other way is also possible. So it made me kind of that weird person among my peers. But I also liked people, and people were around me. So in final year, when we needed an SP from my batch, I stood up to the task and became the assistant boys prefect of my school. That was where it all began in leadership. That was where I really faced leadership, because I had a main SP who was quite reserved and wouldn't want to be out there, wouldn't want to talk. So if the big task come, he would be like, Fano, go and do it. If we have to go and convince the headmaster to give us an opportunity for a program, I am the one they push in there, because I look like someone who didn't fear. I would always approach you, because I knew the best you could do to me is to sack me and say no. And no doesn't kill. This is where I would want to say that most of us don't do what we want to do because of rejection. And the moment we start killing that fear of rejection, you would excel beyond your imagination. So someone telling you no doesn't mean that is the end of your dream. I would want to give a very vivid example. I went to a mission school, Pentecost Senior High School, Kafui, and through my 4 years in school to final year, the school had never had what we called freak. But we hear of other schools having freak and all the rest. Then in an SRC meeting, the SRC decided in our badge we should have a freak. Now who is going to speak to the headmaster for him to accept? This is a Pentecost elder who doesn't want that kind of name on the school. Then everyone pushed my head. Go and talk to the headmaster. We had a very strict headmaster. When I entered the office, I was really afraid about what I was going to say because I knew I had my own answer in my head. But I still had to speak because I was already there. Then I told him our decision and what we wanted to do. Sincerely, he said no. And he asked me to go to class. So I went to class. After class, I told my friends. They still insisted. Then I said, okay, I would still go again. And this time around, I had to find a way to convince him. So we drafted a program which looked very educative, but that was just in the surface. And I went again. We spoke at length, and lo and behold, he accepted it. And it happened that it was the first time ever the school had a program inviting other schools. Then I realized that possibilities in you persistence, consistency was very key. Right down to the university, where I met people coming from various schools, the Boutrays, the Prempers, the Presex and the rest. And I'm coming from a Pentecost Senior High School, which is not even known. When my colleagues will tell you your school is not on the map. Yeah, it makes you look quite weird. But I still didn't give up. The very first week in school on my floor, we had this coming together, wanting to know ourselves on the floor. I was in Unity Hall in KNUST actually. So everyone wanted to boast of their school. Yes, I'm coming from this school, and these are the big men that came out of my school. And sincerely, there was none coming from my school. But I'd wanted to sit in that. And all I wanted to do in that conversation is, if you tell a lie, I'll point it out to you. I'm very good at Google because I liked IT. So the moment you say, I go to Google and find out whether you are telling the truth or not. And it made people name me Pensec. That is the short form of my school. Because I never even mentioned anyone to say, this is the person coming from my school. But I was just there to make you feel what you're saying is wrong. Then I realized that popularity began to build up. Went to my faculty, and then right then I had the organizing secretary of my faculty resigning, and there was no one to organize this freshers week and all the other stuffs. And I told my department president I would want to do it. Sincerely, I had just little idea about organizing events, but I took the task up, had some few friends, and lo and behold, we had one of the best freshers week coming up. Then other opportunities begin to open. My president will say, okay, we need someone on this committee. Let's put Fano there. He'll do it. It was just all about me going in to do what people wouldn't want to do. When I got to final year in school, I had vied for several positions. And that very year, I'd wanted to be the president of my faculty again, after having the opportunity to serve. And the people voted against me, so I'd lost an election. Then one afternoon, Saturday, in my room, I had a call from a strange number. When I answered the call, it was a minister of state in the country. And he said, Fano, we want someone who is very proactive like you to vie for this position in the National Health Student Association, which I have been a former executive. And one thing we have laid down is that we want to build leaders ourselves, raise leaders. So we want you to go for that position. Sincerely, I wasn't prepared. I had known a little about National Health Student Association. How am I going to lead all health students in Ghana? But I told myself, you've done it in the past and you can do it again. So I went in, and lo and behold, I won the elections again and became the president of National Health Student Association of Ghana. And I had to tour almost every campus. And that is where my leadership in the student front became quite strong. Interacting with people, had to sit on boards where I was totally the youngest, including the Ghana ACE Commission chaired by the president of the country. And you go and you see big men with white beard, deep voice, and you are the smallest among them, but you have to share your opinions. What that pushed me to do was to learn beyond what I knew. I was always on the verge of reading. I had to read something new, because if you meet the people you are going to meet, they are more knowledgeable than you are, and therefore I never stopped learning. That pushed me to the fact that I decided to say no. 3 years after school, I wanted to be my own boss because of the people I surrounded myself with. I had opportunity to work right after national service, and due to one or two things, I lost my job, and that was where entrepreneurship began. I decided to start something on my own, and it has not been an easy journey. Being an entrepreneur, I know my big bosses can share more, but my little experience over the last 3 years tells me it is not an easy journey. You need to be resilient, like always be ready for the storm. Things would hit you here and there, but one thing that kept me going, which all of them have shared, is that in everything I see I got myself doing, I wanted to do what's unique than whatever is already on board. I started by massaging because of my field of studies. Everyone wanted to open a massage center, but I decided to do door to door, and that was somewhere late 2017, which you barely even get people going door to door to massage. A big risk, but I decided to go into it. Later I realized people love to go to the poolside, but just a few of them knew how to swim, and I had learned how to swim 1 good year as part of my course. Why not venture into it? But in all, one thing I want to say is I never found satisfaction in them, though I found myself doing them for money's sake. Then one day I sat and asked myself, what do you really want to do? I realized I'm a talkative. I like to talk. I can talk for Ghana. So, being a talkative, what do I turn that into? I looked at the people around the world who speak, and I love one speaker like Barack Obama. How can I speak like this person? I want to speak that people will listen to me and transform, and I want to do that all my life. But aside that, how do I get there? You still need some capital. You still need some money. Then I began. On WhatsApp, I gathered 2-3 friends. I tell them what I've learned. In my house, I gather the youth around. Whatever I've learned newly, I share with them. And then I realized people started recommending me to others. Okay, you want someone to speak, a young person, okay, go for Fanwell. Till I had the opportunity to be paneling on Radio Universe each and every day in the evening. And then people began hearing me, oh, who's that young boy? Who's that young boy? Then I met people and we began to talk about business. And that is why I developed my idea of going into the beverage industry, where I produce probiotic yogurts, aside my dream of being a speaker. In the journey of entrepreneurship, my final destination didn't just come out of seeing what everyone does, but it came out of that's what I do to feel satisfied, what I do as fun. Because I realized, though, as a man, if I go to the kitchen, I enjoy it there. So even at the time when I started my beverage industry, I was doing noodles. Like Madame said, everyone sells Indomie 5 cedis, but I used to sell Indomie in the same pack for 25 cedis. I just stopped selling somewhere September this year. What would push someone to come buy Indomie? Normal Indomie we buy for 5 cedis, 7 cedis, 25 cedis. It's about how uniquely you package it. You see videos of me advertising Indomie on WhatsApp, and it pushes people. What's so unique about it? That I will tell you chicken Indomie. There's nothing different about having Indomie and normal chicken on it. It's just that I chop my chicken small and mix it with it. So it's about you finding that unique value proposition. In the business world, that's how they call it. That unique value proposition. What's unique about whatever I'm doing? Everyone is doing bottled water. What unique thing do you add to your bottled water to make people buy it? And that is how it's been for me in the entrepreneurship world till now, and we aiming to be bigger and bigger. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think on your concluding, you talked about finding fulfillment in what you do. I think it's a major factor. One of my quotes this morning was read here was, discover what gives you a sense of fulfillment and then pursue it. Once you find it, just pursue it and you'll be happy in life. I'd wanted us to touch on what are the necessary steps and also virtues we need to express our voice. But because of our time, from your discussion, there are a few things I noted and I could tag it as the 5 P's. One is passion. You talked about it. You talked about it as passion. Passion. The next is people, the people you associate with, and also making yourself able to serve people. You sacrifice, serve people. And the next is patience. It's a process, so you need patience. And then persistence. You need to persist, like he made mention of. The last one I'll add, I see, you haven't said it, but I see among you is the God factor and as prayer. I've known Madame Ekoa and I know her powerful times of prayer. I've known Priscilla and Mr. Benjamin Kwanzaa, he loves youth as a leader. Dr. E.K. as well, and then Fano as the God factor. And you need to pray. And the Bible also says that they that know their God shall be strong and do exploits. If you know your God, you will definitely rise up to express your voice. You will leave great legacies. You impact generations and you fulfill your destiny. Thank you. So we'll move to our next area. We wrote as, why should I find a voice? Why should I find a voice? Madam Priscilla, why should I find a voice? What are your motivating factors? Every morning you wake up, why do you need to find your voice?
Okay. This is a very interesting question that I get asked a lot of times. And one of the answers that I've always given people is, if I don't find my voice, or in my case, I would say, if I don't use my voice, if I don't pursue my purpose, what then will I be doing? Because that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. You see the lights that are giving us light, the lights that are giving us light in the building, in the room, they've been created to give light. So the moment they stop giving light, they are useless. True or false? So you've been created for a purpose. And once you found your purpose, what do? Pursue it. The reason that you have to pursue it is because that is your reason for being here in the first place. So if you don't do that, you are creating a void. You are being useless. Excuse me to say, nobody would want to be called useless, but if you are not being useful, it means that you are being useless. Unless you haven't yet found your voice, you're in the process, and we've heard a lot about it, where you do this, you do that, you're trying to find what it is really that you've been called to do. But once you found it, it behoves on you. You have a responsibility to pursue it, because if you don't, I don't know how people do it, but you wouldn't have peace. You wouldn't feel fulfilled when you don't. When I wake up and I don't do, see, we don't usually talk. I love the fact that you're making us talk about the journey, the ups and downs, the lows, the highs and all of that, because we don't usually talk about the process. We just see people doing what they are doing. I have been on several occasions be spoken to just keep quiet. But I wake up and I'm like, what am I doing? Do you get? There is no fulfillment. There is no peace. All right? So, if you don't pursue your purpose, you wouldn't have the fulfillment. And if you don't pursue it, you wouldn't be useful. You wouldn't accomplish the reason for which you are here. This is enough reason for you to pursue your purpose.
Very much. And I also add this to it. My story I shared earlier on, that when I was very young, I really wanted to find a voice, but I didn't know how to express it. I didn't know how. So I got to people. So there are many people out there struggling to do certain things, to pick up initiatives. So if you find yours, or if you know you have something within you, God has given each and every one of us special gifts that we can express. So you have it in mind, but you decide that I won't voice it out, I won't speak out. You are not helping humanity. So you need to find your voice to impact lives and also to give glory to God who has endowed you with a lot of gifts. And do not forget the parable of the talents. It could be 1, it could be 3, it could be 5. But one day the master will come and he will require of you what you actually did with the talents he gave you. What would be your answer? And I know you wouldn't want to be cast into an outer darkness. So today, before you leave here, let it be part of you. Let it be part of your subconscious mind that I need to find my voice and I need to express it. Thank you. Please, we'll move on to our third area. Please, what's our third area? Our third question we are to address. Oh, please, I can't hear you. Exactly. What ways can I express my voice? Madam Priscilla took me one time to a program and we met a commencer, and he spoke about the fact that if you sit at home and if you have an idea or you have initiatives but you sit at home, you will never express it, or you want people to invite you to speak for programs, it will never happen. But if you take your own initiatives, whether it's small, even if there are 5 people, just do it. He says you even take photograph of it, and then you do that, and there, and it kept ringing like a lot in me, because I realized even this year I've had opportunities to be invited on platforms and all that, but I could count, they are less than 15 or so. But in my own way, I can express myself anytime through quotes, through the conversation with Philary. People contact you, you help them and all that. At church, I mean, we have seminars on Purpose Hub and all that. There are so many ways I can express my voice. But if I'm sitting home until someone invites me on a platform to speak, I would never be able to express my voice. So I want to look at what ways we can express our voice. Dr. Ike, as a lecturer, as a mentor, a trainer, you are also an author of books. You also have this mentorship program, Ike's Development and Mentorship Program. Every Thursday, there are seminars and workshops being held. So I want you to have a touch on this. What ways can we express our voice? Because I've seen you express your voice in so many platforms.
Okay, thank you very much. So picking from your point of the talents, you should identify your own abilities and capabilities. It's very important. How far can you go looking at yourself? You cannot do all the things that Dr. Funel is doing, or Mr. Kwanzaa is doing, right? Look at yourself. What are your abilities? What are your strengths? Like I said, I studied accounting, but I realized that I am good at talking with people, sharing opinions. I like debating. I like discussing. When I'm studying, I'm listening to the radio at the same time. And I'm really studying seriously, but I'm still listening to discussion on radio all the time, because I like some new idea. I want some knowledge that will challenge me, that kind of thing. And I also have times, I like sitting on the buses for long distances, because I use that time to write a lot of notes on my phone. I create a lot of content. I create a lot of ideas. I draw programs and I draw plans and all of that. I do that looking at my abilities, right? For example, she mentioned about the book that I published, and now we already have volume 2. I have volume 3, which is also ready. We were actually intending to release 3 books this year, and they are ready. Since I came to Ghana, I've written 1. I am currently writing 2. Why? Because I know that is my area, knowledge industry. Knowledge industry is my area. If I decide to go and create some business, to be a businessman, I might not be successful. Yes, I have ideas about business, because I've studied business. I have studied industrial economics. I have done MBA. So I can consult. But for me to be a businessman, that is not my area. I need to recognize. So you need to know, what are your area? Maybe you are into arts. You like the arts, right? You like dancing. There is a way you can use dancing to express your voice. Maybe you like drawing. There is a way you can use drawing to express your voice. If you come to my room, there is a certain painting on the wall. It was done by my daughter. On my birthday, she goes to draw some things on paper, and she writes a note to it and comes to give it to me as my birthday package. And I open it up, and she has drawn a house and a car, and she's saying, "Daddy, my prayer is that this is the house." And she is expressing her voice. So what is your ability? What do you think you have in you? I have been given training ever since I went to China. I traveled to so many cities. I meet many young people. I meet many fellowship groups, and I give them all this training. So when I decided to write a book, and I remember one of the trainings I was giving to a group of church leaders in one of the fellowships, I realized that I was giving them a lot of quotes. I wasn't writing. I felt like I needed to stop and write. But how do you stop training and write what you are saying? So when I wanted to publish a book, I needed all those quotes. I didn't have the notes. I had to contact some of the people who were in the training, and I realized some of them were really writing. So I said, send me a photo of the notes you took at the training. And when they sent, I gleaned a lot of quotes from that training. And so those trainings I was doing, I write articles for Church Magazine. We started Church Magazine in China. I was writing articles. I was part of the editors. I was the chairman of the International Christian Fellowships in China. I also said, okay, our conference books, because we have conferences, 2 conferences every year, 2 leadership training sessions every year. I said, okay, all these manuals that we prepare, we need to include articles. And I take the lead. I have to write an article for this, and I have to also edit. So when it came to the point where I needed to write a book, it was easy to do, because I have already been writing and writing and writing.
Okay.
So I will end on that note. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We quickly want to look at the mediums, where we can express our voice. The first is social media. But because of our time, just 1 or 2. Madam Priscilla, do you think social media is a good platform to express your voice?
Social media is actually a very good platform. And just to add up to what you were saying, for those of you who don't necessarily have like bigger platforms right now, social media is a very great way to start. Just social media is more like create your own platform. You don't need anybody to invite you. Just, whether you want to use YouTube, you want to use Facebook, whichever platform you want to use, start right there showcasing what you have to offer the world. You never know who is watching. Just by posting, just by, using your voice on social media, you will now begin to get invitations to those platforms that you want to speak.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Madam Mekwa, we look at networking. You started your entrepreneurship business. You don't have a setup, let's say, an office space for your entrepreneurship stuff, but then you make a lot of sales. I know you are not too active on social media as well. You are working closely at that, but then you have a lot of orders, and looking at your pricing, I think it has to do with networking. What do you say?
You have rightly said it, and let me say that you think I'm not on social media. I'm on a level of social media.
Sure.
And what I'm doing is I'm just using my network. I have been in the corporate industry for about 14 years. I write engineering, I write big businesses. And so it puts my network in a class of people. And I started by just looking at my phone contact. I have over 1,000 contacts. So that is your first network. You broadcast to them. But following from what everybody has said, it is also important that you look at who you are sending a message to. A typical one is that I'm doing pork. So I have to skim through my network and make sure that I do not put a Muslim in a nervous situation. I do not put people who do not love pork in a situation that you may cut contact from permanently. And so you start very small. In fact, in voicing out, okay, it is important to start softly, gently, but be fair with what you are putting across. It could be anything. And so I needed to skim through. In fact, you cannot even send your message to everybody. You have a very high profile person who is not interested in that small thing that you are bringing up. You start very small by categorizing even the people that you know, okay? And out of that, if it picks up and now you are confident, you can approach with boldness. And so whatever you are starting, whatever you are passionate about today, it could be selling of orange juice. Everybody is peeling orange to sell, okay? Can you decide that my orange, I'll keep a small ice chest and keep it cold, so that though you are sitting, having arranged your orange, when people buy orange from you, they will get it. They want to, it's not everybody who wants orange to be squeezed, okay? People want to drink orange as it is. But then you can serve them with orange that is cold. This is because at the beginning, you don't even have a fridge. You don't have a sitting area. And that is exactly me. I took advantage of the COVID. I'm born an only daughter. I love to cook. I've served my 5 brothers over the years. And friends will tell you, I invite friends all the time. Come home, come and take fufu. Like that. And so it comes naturally with me wanting to serve people. And so I asked myself, I don't have a sitting area. How do I serve pork and then serve it well? I looked within the area that I live, a little above average people. They don't even want to go out. And so I started by sharing my contact, telling people, I don't want you to come. I can deliver your pork to you in the afternoon. And so I crafted the kind of people I want to serve. And I chose to serve families. My concept was serving families. During the COVID area, corporate people like us who never stayed at home now found ourselves at home. And it was becoming boring doing the same repetitive thing, cooking for the kids and kids and kids. And so I began to share with families. Amongst my fleet of people, those I was comfortable with, I chose them one by one and I said, oh, after church on Sunday, I can serve you some grills so that you sit with the kids and then you eat. And so even in your network, you need to be selective. With time also, when you are developing something, you need to sacrifice. Some of the sacrifice as an entrepreneur would be the fact that you would have to share for people to get to know what you have. That is the same way Doc did. In September, he had to offer to give freely. You know, you may think it's a wage or a salary, but you as an entrepreneur, I started with my kids chewing a whole pig. You know, my kids were my partners in tasting. So I do the recipe. I get one or two people who are in love with pork, and I say, I want to serve you. Give me feedback. Interestingly, one of them gave me the strongest negative feedback that had turned my business around. My first biggest contract was for 30 people. In my anticipation, I forgot my processes. I had taken over a stock which was fatty. I overlooked it because I was looking at profit, and I served them. Some high-class people in Tema. And then the feedback came. You know, they didn't even tell me. They pushed it on their platform. So I served 30 people of a group who are like over 120. Everybody can read it, right? And these were the class of people I want to serve. So one person called, Ikia, I gave you a recommendation. What did you serve? In fact, my partner even felt that it was personal because he knows the one who did the recommendation. Let me share one thing I did. I was so down, but quickly I felt the Holy Spirit talking to me. So I left my partner and I climbed upstairs. And then I knelt down and I thanked God for that negative review. And I told God from that moment, oh God, turn this review into my success. Immediately the Lord opened my eyes and I came back to the kitchen and I opened up what I served them. I could see that it was fatty as they said. I tasted it, it was salty as they confessed. And I said, wow. Now, going forward, every day I have to ensure that fat is cut out of it, short is moderate, because the team you are even serving are grown-ups. They don't want salt. And now I customize even what you want. I will ask you, are you a garlic fan? Do you like too much salt? Do you want it spicy? So out of that, I have now developed a process that serves many. My last thing I want to tell you on that note is that when you have found your purpose, you also have to listen to other people. Your purpose would become firm when you pay attention to what others are saying about your passion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll quickly touch on mentorship. Mr. Kwanzaa, you love youth, and I feel if you want to make impact, okay, and you want to fulfill a glorious destiny, you need to replicate or duplicate yourself in people. So what can you say about mentorship and expressing your voice as mentorship, a medium where you could really impact life?
Okay, thank you. Now, there's a passage in the Bible that really influences what I do. So I like to read, and I would appreciate if you write it down. Spend time in your closet, go through, and ask God to direct you. And I'm reading from Job chapter 26. I'm reading from verse 2. How have you helped him who is without power? How have you saved the arm that has no strength? How have you counseled one who has no wisdom? And how have you declared sound advice to many? To whom have you uttered words, and whose spirit came from you? There are a lot of people who lack direction. They are weak. They don't have any sense of direction. How have you come in to help them? People who need to be counseled so they'll go the right way. How have you helped them? How have you mentored them? So these are the questions that influence what I do. I mentor the youth. I train them. I coach them. I do a lot of speaking with the youth. And one thing that I want you to understand, if you are a youth, and for that matter, an African youth, is this. And this is not coming from me. It is coming from the United Nations. So take note of that.
Mr. Kwanzaa, please, not to cut you in. We're supposed to go for a break at 12, and it's 12. But I think the discussion we are having is very important, right? Okay. So instead of going for a break, our servers can just serve us while we listen. Is that okay? Is that okay? Thank you. Please come.
So, across the world, there are young people who are growing, learning, and preparing themselves to be the next generation of leaders. Now, the United Nations has estimated that there are 226 million young people living in Africa. That in the next 30 years, 50%, you heard me, 50% of the world's population growth would happen in Africa. That's very important for you and then for me. What it means for the African youth is that we are not training you to be local leaders. We are training you to be global leaders. You have a special place in this world. And as a coach, mentor, speaker, I dedicate my time and life, everything towards the youth. Everything youth, you find me there. Which is why you see me here today. As I was coming, my car broke down at the Kwashi roundabout. I had to leave it and then pick a taxi and come. It's all about you. I love you. I'm passionate about youth work. I'm passionate about adding value to the youth. And I do this through coaching, one-on-one group coaching. I do a lot of Zoom engagement with the youth. So on Saturday, for example, there's this church in the US, so they want me to engage with the youth. And then the whole of next week, I'm busy doing youth work. And that gives me fulfillment. Why? Because I've identified my purpose. Why do I do what I do? And I said that to you from the beginning. I want to make a difference with people who want to make a difference. Doing something that makes a difference in a time that makes a difference. That is why I live, and I get fulfillment from that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So our last area to consider, please, what's the question for our last area to consider? Exactly. Who could support you in finding your voice? Madam Ekwa, I want us to touch a little on marriage. There are so many young people, like my friends and I, we want to take certain paths, and when being asked, when will you get married? Like, oh, we want to work on one or two things before we settle. But do you think marriage can help a person in finding his or her voice? How have your husband contributed to your education and all other areas of your life?
If I knew that you were going to ask me about marriage, I would have read Genesis before coming. I have married before. I am a widow. I lost my wonderful husband 6 years ago. But I always thank God for the years, because the Lord brought him to me to bless me. I say this because he's one person who has unearthed what I'm able to do today. And so I from that experience, I believe that God would usually bring our path the right men so that they can help us. I am an example. I married a very quiet gentleman and always had belief in me. I in my CVs, you got to know that I just finished my LLB. This is a man who will put his education aside and say, you've given birth too many times, so go to school. When you are done, then he will take care of the kids. When you are done, I will also go. I picked my EMBA and I'll drop it because before he realized I'm pregnant and I can't go. And so my third son, he said, when I was going to do my master's, my little boy was about 7 months. You can imagine. And he had become the nursing father and insisted that I go to school. And he said that when you are done, you will become a lawyer. Unfortunately, I'm becoming a lawyer and he's not here to see me. And so, for me, I believe that God, in his wisdom, makes it right for young people at the right age to marry. Your purpose on earth is a design by God. The time to marry is a design by God. But you yourself, as young people, must also prepare to meet marriage. And so it is very important for you, as you pray about marriage, to seek that the Lord will draw you close to the right person. It is not just for fun that the Bible says that and God took a rib of the man, to form the woman. What it implies. In fact, I looked at Monday's elections and I observed that the women are 51% more and the men are 48%. But believe you me, every woman here has a right rib with a man, even though you are 51%. Okay? And so, as young people, and I love my sister addressing not just women, but people. Okay? We are all created in the image of God. You are not inferior to a man. Neither is a man superior to a woman. That is the design of God. And so look forward to the right rib. If you find the right rib, you become fulfilled in marriage too. If I don't tell you I am a widow, you would never get to know I'm a widow. Because God gave me a man that led me to be empowered. As if he knew I would die, he would die, and so he pushed me to even study, to prepare me in his absence to take up the challenge. And my boss got to know that I was a widow barely a year ago after working with him for like 4 or 5 years. He said, "Iki, are you a widow?" I said, "Yes." "But you don't look like." I said, "Must I put a billboard on my forehead that I'm a widow?" No. I have found myself stronger than when I was even married. Okay? Because I had a partner who exposed me to what I am. And so for young people like you, I would urge you, pray the Lord will draw you to the right man and to the right woman. And when the two of you are the design of God, it will bring multiplication in your life. It brings peace. It brings love. It brings increase. I gave birth like that. My father was you know, and that is because the Lord brought me close to a man I love, and all I wanted to do is to have both of us. And so I was making children like that. It's difficult within our setting to even have men who give a lot of room to women. But if I tell you my house I live in, my husband only walks to the place and says, "Oh, you've reached the lintel." All I needed was to tell him, "I need 30 bags." And he believed in me that this is what I can do. He's not interested in it. And so I remember my building at Kaswa. I think he came there thrice. Hey, honey, so what have you been doing? I said, that is what you see. This is because the Lord matched me with the right person. The noise we hear in homes is because sometimes we are not matched properly. But as the child of God, whatever we ask, and we ask in honesty, oh God Himself will honor our request. I pray for you that in your search, especially the young ones who are not married, the Lord will draw you to your right partners, and you enjoy marriage like I did.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. God bless you richly. Okay. The final area I want us to look is finding a balance. Finding a balance. So something interesting happened yesterday. I was out in town trying to make sure things together in order. I got home quite late. I was very exhausted. My eyes were red and all that. But I got home and then my mom asked me to go to the kitchen to cook. I said okay, and whilst I was walking away, I was like, oh, so you can't even say that this lady has a program tomorrow, so she should rest. Looking at how tired she looks, she didn't say anything. So I went to my room, did one of a few things, and I came back to the kitchen. While I was almost through, she came around and she said she wanted me to know that in trying to find my voice as a woman, the kitchen is also yours. At that point, it really made sense to me. So as a woman, you don't neglect certain roles because you are trying to fulfill purpose, you are trying to impact lives. If she were my stepmother, she's being wicked. But then it taught me a lesson. So Madam Priscilla, how do we find a balance as ladies who are trying to find our voice with our career, our own initiative with schooling and all that, and parents, and how do we strike a balance?
This is one of the major struggles that women have. I've had the privilege of working with women for quite some years now, and this has been one of the struggles. Interestingly, it's not just for married women. Even the single women struggle with striking a balance, because as women, we are always, as you said, you are single, right? But when you went home, you still had to cook. Yeah. So I think that for you to find a balance, you first of all have to understand that it's important that you play each and every one of your roles. Because sometimes there is this feeling that once I'm a woman and I climb the ladder, I'm up there, I'm a boss, then the kitchen is not for me. Or once I am busy, maybe I am doing something else, then the other things have to suffer. From experience, having worked with women, the first point is, first of all, understanding that you have to play your roles across boards. Secondly, understand that it is possible. It is very much possible to strike the balance. Balance for me is simply knowing what your priorities are, when to do what, and when not to do what. So when you're in the office, you are Madam Priscilla, you're working as a boss, and you give in your best. When you get home, you are a wife, you put in your best. When you don't, first of all, understand that you have to play your roles, what happens is, when you leave the office and you get home, you are bringing that mindset that, I am tired. Am I not coming from the office? Hello, you are a wife.
Yeah.
That's one of your hats, and you have to wear it. So, what I usually advise women to do is take a sheet of paper, write down everything that you are supposed to do as you, because although we all wear many hats, we are not doing the same thing. I am a writer. I also speak. Sometimes I'm in conferences interpreting. So sit down and write down. These are the different hats that I wear. When am I expected to do this? When am I expected to do this? When you do that, you are now able to create your schedule around everything that you do. So that if I know that I will go to work and because of my job, I will come back home late, then quickly my brain begins to work. Then I maybe have to cook before I leave. Do you get? That's how it works. I have to cook before I leave so that when I come, my family would not wait for me to come and cook for them. So this is just an example. It works. It has to be practical. It's you sitting down and understanding that you have to do everything. And it doesn't mean you are a superwoman. People usually feel like, so does it mean I'm a superwoman? And I usually tell women, see, I started off by saying that there's a lot of noise out there. Be careful so that you don't listen to what people say. I hear a lot of people say, so when I marry, me and my husband, we will sit down and we share. I don't say that men should not work, all right? I don't say that men, but when you enter with that mindset, you're already creating trouble for yourself, because you are already telling yourself, you know what? Let's say that what happened to her was her husband, all right? I love to be practical. Let's say that was her husband. She's back from work. You are busy. You are preparing a conference. He's fully aware. You come back. Mr. was at home and he tells you, I'm hungry. Get me food. When you entered that marriage, the mindset that, hello, why didn't you cook? Didn't you know that I was supposed to be out? You are the man you are talking about. You begin to pick a fight over nothing. But when you enter the marriage with the understanding that you are wearing many hats and each of them has to be done at a particular time. In fact, even before you left, as I said, creating a balance is being proactive. Even before you left, because you know how busy your schedule is, you would have made plans for that. You would have prepared something before going out. So this is how practical it is to find a balance. It's nothing, so strange. It's really understanding and making plans towards it.
Okay, thank you very, very, very much. It's been an insightful journey, I must confess, and thank you all for sharing your wonderful and amazing thoughts.
At this point, we would like to open up for questions and answers. Okay, for questions. So we'll have pause and right. If you have a question, you could kindly write it on a paper. You could kindly write it on a paper. We pass it on, okay, they will make it available, it will be passed on and they will read out and it will be addressed. So same time we are on break, please feel free to enjoy your coffee break.